Nintendo is very well known for their music. Unfortunately not just for how great it is, but let's ignore that for now. What makes Nintendo's music so good? Well, of course we first have to look at the composers behind the music. For example, Koji Kondo, who's written masterpieces of soundtracks in the Super Mario and Zelda series, among other many amazing projects, although these are probably his most well-known works. Other notable composers are people such as Minaka Kataoka. She was the lead composer for one of my favourite video game soundtracks, Breath of the Wild, and also Mahito Yokota, who is the main composer for the big orchestral tracks in the Super Mario Galaxy games. In this video I'm basically going to talk about some of my favourite music from Nintendo's games, and a lot that I think people sort of overlook that are pretty underrated. I'll also give a little input on what I think makes these tracks so good. But anyway, enough yapping, let's first take a look at the Super Mario series. Of course, the earlier games are great and all in terms of music, but there isn't anything that sticks out to me personally until Super Mario 64. One of the standout tracks here is Bowser's theme, more specifically though the Ultimate Bowser theme from Bowser 3. This theme is pretty cool considering it breaks away from the other Bowser themes, almost coming as a surprise, especially with the awesome organs that start playing in the background. The other Bowser themes throughout the games are all consistently amazing as well, particularly in the 3D Mario games. Take Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 for example. Sometimes I question myself on if I think these games have such incredible soundtracks due to my immense nostalgia for the games, or just because of the incredible orchestras behind them. But then I hear tracks like these and realize it definitely is just a masterclass of video game music, especially with the choir backing in the finale of Mario Galaxy 2. Super Mario Odyssey also has a cool Bowser theme, but I think the next game to have a really standout one is the Bowser theme in Super Mario 3D World Bowser. I think this game is pretty overlooked, but it's a really great game with an amazing soundtrack to go along with it. Now, all of these are amazing, but I would like to take another look at Mario Galaxy and its sequel. Of course, these are probably the most popular Mario soundtracks, apart from maybe Super Mario Odyssey, but they just make me so emotional every time I hear them. Of course you have tracks like the Luma theme, which is beautiful, but for me I get the waterworks going from the moment the game begins, with the Star Festival. I think it's a mix of the simplicity of this track and that anticipating sound of the beginning of a grand adventure that makes me love it so much. And then there's songs like Boy Base Galaxy that is so grand and immersive that it's almost surprising that this isn't that major of a level in the game. And then finally for this game, how could you forget Gusty Garden Galaxy? It really encapsulates the beauty of this game's soundtrack perfectly and is one of the best songs of any video game out there. Okay, now for Galaxy 2's songs, I will be honest, I think this game actually has more songs that I really love compared to the first game. For example, Sky Station Galaxy, Cloudy Court Galaxy, and oh my goodness, Cloudy Court Galaxy, the music is incredible for this stage. It's probably this game's equivalent of Gusty Garden Galaxy. There's even some one-off tracks that aren't tied to a huge level that sound unbelievable. Like this song titled Speedrun, which literally just plays when you're doing a speedrun combat mission. Like, why does this go so hard? And then you have World S, which is a fantastic rendition of the main theme. And finally for this game, there is Bowser's Galaxy Generator. If this isn't the perfect song for the final level of a video game, then I don't know what is. Every time I hear it, I'm blown away by how cinematic it is. It's truly one of the greatest pieces of music from any game I've ever played. I mean, it is absolute cinema. Alright, I could go on for hours about the many Mario soundtracks, but I think I've said enough. Now I want to talk about some Zelda music. From the very beginning of the Zelda series, there's so many songs I could talk about, but something I and many others adore is the opening to Ocarina of Time. It's so beautifully melancholic. This is the sort of track that I feel like anyone could feel nostalgic for, even if you weren't someone who played this as a kid. And then there's recurring themes such as the Great Fairies Fountain. My personal favourite rendition of this song is the one from Breath of the Wild, but the core theme in general is incredible. Weirdly, for both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, my favourite pieces of music for both games are the songs from the trailers, which are by the way not used in the game. This song was purely made for the sake of showcasing Breath of the Wild before release. But it's so good, I always find myself coming back to listen to it every now and again. And the Tears of the Kingdom trailer music especially. I remember watching this trailer over and over before the game came out, purely because of how hyped the music was. The Zelda game with the best music for me is probably Majora's Mask. This game's soundtrack is incredible, but also terrifyingly haunting in a way, and even more melancholy than Ocarina of Time. But it does have some slightly more cheerful tracks, like the one that plays in the Astral Observatory. This is probably my favourite song in the game. I think the theme is a nice break from the usual feeling of despair that looms over you for most other parts of the game. It's so heavenly sounding as well, and really creates this feeling of somewhere safe. The most chilled out and regular sounding song from the game, though, is probably New Wave Bossa Nova, which is pretty grounding and a nice take on Bossa Nova, but of course I'd expect nothing less from Koji Kondo. Now here's some random games that I didn't have enough to talk about to warrant a whole segment, but have some great songs, starting with Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii. This song is one of my favourites from the Mario Kart series, and it's pretty easy to see why. It's so epic sounding, and somehow perfectly suits the idea of riding on a rainbow racetrack in space. Now for Pokemon, one of my favourite tracks from my favourite Pokemon game, Driftveil City, which is a pretty classic song. It's just so upbeat as well, like how could you not love this one? The last couple things I wanted to mention were how weirdly good the Mii Maker music for both 3DS and Wii U are. I feel like these two songs are kind of overlooked whenever you think about how popular the Wii's Mii Maker music is, but these tracks are really nice to listen to. So it's pretty sad there hasn't been any menu themes like this for Switch or Switch 2, but hopefully Nintendo brings these sorts of things back in the future. Well anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I know that I missed out on a bunch of great songs, but if I hit absolutely all of my favourite Nintendo music, I'd be talking forever. Either way, hopefully I shared some cool songs you hadn't heard before, and thanks for watching. PlayStation.